Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism. This is your big brother, Dr.Umar Ifatunde, with a special message to my South African brothers and sisters, my Zulu, my Xhosa, my Khoi, all of my South Africans, my Swazi nation. I wish you all good luck on Election Day. I believe Election Day is this coming Wednesday. I want all of my South African brothers and sisters to get on out and vote. Exercise your democratic right to vote. In a predominantly African country, you must vote. With that being said, I have three concerns about the South African elections. Number one, an overwhelming number of political parties ultimately means that the vote is going to be split. And when you constantly and repeatedly split the vote, you deny larger, more effective parties the opportunity to achieve victory in your elections. Something has to be done in South Africa about the overwhelming number of political parties that are allowed to run major candidates. Splitting the vote does not benefit the community. There needs to be some coalitions. There needs to be some unifications. There needs to be some solidarity done on the grassroots level to prevent the South African vote from being split 101 different ways. Number two, my second concern for the South African elections taking place this week. In my research, in my study, and from the information I have been sent from brothers and sisters on the ground in the Republic of South Africa, it appears that all of the major parties are being funded by white interests. If the political party is being funded by white interests, how can it be of service to black people? This is a fundamental question of democracy and politics. If you are taking money from the hand that oppresses African people, how can you truly and genuinely be about the liberation of the South African people? So one of my biggest concerns is it appears that all of the major parties, those that are revolutionary, as well as those that are integrationist, it seems that everyone is taking money from the apartheid hand. That cannot be if we want to liberate South Africa. My third issue in the South African elections, and I'll leave it here, I will do a longer synopsis later, and that involves the issue of resources and land. At the end of the day, every South African brother and sister needs a piece of the land. They need their share of the resources. When you have land, you can build a decent house to live in. When you have land, you can grow fruits and vegetables to feed your family. And that is why land is the basis of independence. Land is the basis of life. Land is the basis of liberation. So for all of the major parties, what is your program? What is your platform? What is your protocol to deliver land to the South African people? Because if you're not talking about land redistribution, and if you're not talking about wealth redistribution in South Africa, then the South African elections is a mockery of democracy. I said, if you are not talking about land redistribution in South Africa, if you are not talking about wealth redistribution in South Africa, then your democracy is a mockery. At the top of the list in South Africa should be, in this election coming up this week, should be land redistribution and wealth redistribution. If we're not talking about land or wealth redistribution, then this democracy is a hypocrisy. My South African brothers and sisters, I wish you well this week in the election. I hope that those who win are those who are most committed to the liberation of African people. But please be careful about being distracted away from the land question this election. Be careful about being distracted away from the wealth question. Be careful about being distracted away from who is financing and controlling these political parties, and don't be distracted away from your vote being split by too many parties entering the election in South Africa. Amandla, power to the people. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. This is your big brother, Dr. Umar Ifatunde Oguntade, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, coming to you live and direct from Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Ground Zero. Please join us today at the Greenwood Cultural Center, 322 North Greenwood Avenue today, as we honor, as we remember, as we discuss, and as we memorialize the Tulsa Race Massacre 103 years later, brothers and sisters. This is one of the greatest holocausts of African people on American soil. And today we come together to not only remember it, but to continue to galvanize, organize, and mobilize the fight for reparations, not only for the descendants of those who suffered in the Tulsa Race Massacre, but for all of Black Tulsa, Oklahoma, because the racism, the systemic discrimination, the inequity, and the disenfranchisement continues 103 years later. So come on out, bring the elders, bring the children, bring the Negropeans, bring everybody on out to the Greenwood Cultural Center today and march with us, brothers and sisters. March with us as we remind the community that the war for reparations and justice here in Black Tulsa, Oklahoma is not over. United we stand, divided we fall.